In Twin Perfect's 4.5-hour video, Twin Peaks Actually Explained, they attempt to explain and dissect the entire meaning of Twin Peaks, the 1990s television show by Mark Frost and David Lynch, and all the other cast and crew who worked on the series. And to be fair, Twin Perfect does spend the first 5 minutes of the video explaining that having the meaning spoon-fed to you might ruin the experience of decoding Twin Peaks for yourself. I bring this video up because it represents a deeper problem with YouTube and fandoms in general. Imagine you're Japanese. You speak Japanese and understand it so well that this video could be in Japanese, and you'd have no problem understanding it. Obviously there's a cultural and contextual differences, but for the time being, let's put this out of your mind. Okay, so it's 1996. Japan's economy is in the trash and you're working 10 hours a day, if you even have a job. You live in Tokyo or any other large metropolitan center, it doesn't really matter. Haha! Guess what? This was a Neon Genesis Evangelion video the whole time! Alright, so this show is awesome. It has robots fighting, drama, religious imagery, you know, everything you could want from an action anime. Guns, swords, tits, and this is the best show ever, and it helps you keep your mind off the shit going on outside. The main character, Shinji, is uncertain about his future and unable to control or even understand the events happening around him. And that hits you. You connect with this character's helplessness on a level that a strong, competent Marvel hero never could. You sit down to watch your favorite show, and you know the show is coming to an end. You don't know if there will even be a second season or if the show will disappear forever. The theme song... fucking hell. The theme song plays, and about half an hour later you turn off the television. So you just spent 24 episodes watching mechs and guns and a creepy organization pulling all the strings. You wanted to know what all those foreshadowed events were. What's the Human Instrumentality Project? What's Sealy and what are they trying to do? Did Shinji save the world at the end? I mean, instead of a satisfying ending, you get Shinji sitting in a chair, working through his problems. Bizarre art house editing techniques and off-putting imagery. This end forces you to think and that pisses you off. You didn't watch a mecha anime to decipher its message. You wanted guns, tits, and robots. And to be honest, so did I. First time I watched Mulholland Drive, I felt really disappointed in the ending. Not angry, but unsatisfied. I found myself really enjoying Mulholland Drive. The mystery was engaging. There were scares, a man was running around shooting people. I genuinely wanted to understand where the story was going, but eventually it just ended and that's all I got. It was the same feeling with Evangelion. The story just ends abruptly and it leaves you with a melancholic feeling. Something that filled your life in a small way is gone, and it will never return. Gary Larson is a hugely popular cartoonist. His series Far Side ran in national newspapers for almost 15 years. He's created thousands of memorable, hilarious, and absurd strips. I'd posit that despite years of content, his most infamous work was Cow Tools. Cow Tools ran in October of 1982 and was so baffling and incomprehensible that the publisher and Larson himself was inundated with calls about the meaning of the work. When I first saw this cartoon, I was baffled by it as well. I had no idea how to interpret the comment. It stuck in my mind and I had to imagine it. Stuck in the minds of thousands of other readers, for decades in fact. And in a way, that's kind of the point of this video. Take a look at Cow Tools, feel that sense of alienation and bizarreness, the helplessness you feel, being unable to decipher it. Most people think it's a negative emotion, being unable to decipher art and media, and it makes you a bit obsessive actually. The thing that's strange about Cow Tools is it actually has a set, defined meaning. Annoyed by the constant phone calls and letters, Gary Larson eventually admitted Cow Tools would make bad tools. That's it. That's the entire point of the joke, is that a cow makes bad tools. I mean, even when you understand the joke, it's not even that funny. But what's interesting is the sense of longing and yearning to understand immediately vanishes. Do you care at all about Cow Tools now that you've been spoon-fed the meaning? I know I don't. The joke is really, really weak and doesn't work for more than a chuckle. This comic that once had so much power over so many people is instantly stripped of even being particularly interesting. Maybe a work of art is better off because of the lack of a satisfying or clearly explained meaning. Maybe that's what made it so memorable. Would anyone still be talking about Twin Peaks or Mulholland Drive if, after all this time, if all the narrative threads were tied up neatly and everyone got a happy ending? So, I rewatched Eva recently, and I found myself able to interpret the last 2 episodes. Suddenly I understood the show. I mean, it didn't matter that the story never concluded, or things were left mysterious, or what happened to the Human Instrumentality Project. What mattered was that Shinji accepted himself, and he didn't need his father's approval, or even to pilot the Eva in order to have worth as a human being. I mean, the whole ending of End of Eva is Shinji choosing to keep living, and that's great, right? So obviously there's nothing wrong with Twin Perfects trying to unpack and explain the entirety of Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is a show that begs to be solved. Everything in it seems deliberate enough for someone to decode the hidden message laying just below the surface. What I do have a massive problem with is fans who harass people. Just because someone did something you disagree with does not mean that you get to send them death threats. They are the creators and you're the audience, and you can either respect that or watch something else. But besides the death threats, that's a pretty extreme example, but the main reason I created this video was because of a trend of YouTube film criticism, specifically rejecting ambiguity. You know, they'll scour the film for meaning and understanding, then enforce their view of the film on others. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but many film critics online focus more on an individual aspect of a film that they want to decipher, instead of seeing the film as a whole, missing the forest for the trees in a sense. Like, they wholly reject how the different elements of the scene play off against each other to create a greater meaning entirely, and the emotional experience of watching the film entirely in some cases. What I'm trying to say is Mulholland Drive at the end of the day isn't about the mystery. The loose threads and the interesting details are all there to explore the relationship between Betty and Rita. Rita is a woman without a past and has to create an identity entirely for herself. Maybe the lampshade and the ashtray do have meaning. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe deciphering its message is the key to understanding Mulholland Drive in an entirely new and mind-blowing way. Maybe stenciled into a frame of the robe is a secret message from Lynch himself, describing in detail the meaning and solution to every single question you have about Mulholland Drive. Or maybe in the words of Sigmund Freud, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.